You don't have to fill in every field. The type of article, it's a regular old journal article, I'm going to leave that blank. The short title is used in some of the humanities styles, where you might have a shortened version of the title for repeated footnotes only. If you put a short title here, that's what will be used for the repeated footnotes and only for those styles that require it. The alternate journal, well, if you were using a journal's terms list, the full name would go in the journal field and the alternate name would go here if it shows up in red like it does for paleontology, because that would mean it was a new journal. Paleontology is so short that both the abbreviation and the full name are the same. I don't have an ISSN or a DOI, but if I had a DOI, it would be a good thing to put it here, because that's one of the things Find Full Text uses to try and find the PDF. Along with that, though, some style guidelines require the DOI even for a printed version of the article. The APA Style Manual, for example, wants you to put in the DOI, even if you're citing the printed version. So put it in there if you have it, and we will import it. I don't have a lot of these fields, so I'm going to skip by them. I do want to say something about the Pmcid and the Nihms fields. If you are in the US and your work is funded by the National Institutes of Health, there's a chance that you may need to publish your articles on PubMed Central and use the PubMed Central record numbers in your bibliographies. The Pmcid field is the PubMed Central record number. The Nihms field is the National Institutes of Health Manuscript System record number. The Nihms is what is assigned as soon as you submit something to PubMed Central. The Pmcid is used after it's approved. That means that sometimes you don't have a Pmcid, you have an Nihms. We include both so that you can use one and then use another later, and it's even possible to set the style to automatically put in the Nihms if the Pmcid field is empty. So we do have fields for those. An important thing to know is the Pmcid is not the PMID number. They're totally different. The PMID you will find in the accession number field, because it's basically the accession number for PubMed, their tracking number. The Pmcid is for PubMed Central. Very different things. Keywords is another field that will try to fill in the information for me as I type. New words are going to show up in red. Words that have been used before will show up in black, and it will try to fill them in for me. Authors must be on separate lines. Every author must be on a separate line, and put all of your authors in, because EndNote will automatically abbreviate it to the right number for the style. For keywords, you can put line breaks between them as separators, like I did here, or semicolons or backslashes. Do not use commas or regular slashes to separate keywords. The reason for that is many online databases have keyword phrases with commas or slashes inside the phrase. It ignores the commas and the slashes and treats them as part of a keyword phrase. And then the whole keyword phrase is seen as the keyword in EndNote. I'm not going to type in an abstract or notes. You've probably figured out I'm a lousy typist by now. But you can copy and paste into any of the fields, as well as typing it in manually. And the abstracts or notes or research notes field can have up to 64 kilobytes of information per field. Figure that's about 8 pages of single-space typewritten text per field. You can keep a lot of notes in EndNote. What's the difference between the notes and the research notes field? We never import anything into the research notes field. That means if you need a field to use for a personal annotated bibliography that you know nothing in there's been imported, use the research notes field. The URL, that's a linkable field. And if you put one of the standard beginnings for a hyperlink, www, http, ftp. EndNote will recognize it as a hyperlink and make it into one. The file attachments field, well, the easiest way to get a file attachment into your record, let me make the window a little smaller so we can see my screen, and I'm going to just take one of the PDFs we've used before. It's not appropriate to this record, but I'm going to just drag that into the record, and EndNote will automatically attach it. When it attached it, it made a copy of that file and put the copy in the data folder, so it became part of my library. If I move my library to another computer, I will still have my attachments this way. I will still be able to read that PDF and use it because it's part of the library. You can attach any kind of file to an EndNote record, any kind. And you can have up to 45 attachments per record. You can have up to 5 gigabytes of attachments in your EndNote online library. And in both of them, you can have an unlimited number of references. So you can keep a lot of attachments in EndNote. The figure and the caption field. Figure is another type of attachment. It's meant to work in Microsoft Word as well as here. And we actually have 3 reference types that are designed specifically for graphic files. There's a figure reference type, a chart or table reference type, and an equation reference type. And those will let you keep track of things like who created the file, what program was it created in, etc. But there's a figure field in every reference type because that was the first kind of attachment we had. You can only have one figure per record though, because it's going to be attached to one caption. But later I can insert it in my Microsoft Word document. So to attach my figure, I go to the References menu, select Figure, and then Attach Figure. Click on the Choose File button, and I'm going to go to the Examples folder now, in the EndNote Examples. It's in the Public Documents. Feather 2, it's a bitmap, and I see a picture of a small bird. The caption for it is going to be crest feathering. And in the Cite While You Write class, when I do that, I'm going to be able to insert this figure in a document, and it will actually show the caption formatted as it should be above or below the figure according to the style requirements. When I'm all done with the record, I click in the X in the upper right-hand corner to save my changes.